How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Banker Next Door. I am your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. Today, I wanted to talk to everybody about the FedNow service. So we are approaching the 1-year anniversary of FedNow being in operation. I just wanted to check in and kind of see how it was going. This is the first episode I've actually done on the FedNow service. I've actually been kind of waiting intentionally for a while. I just kind of wanted to see, how things were going to play out and how things were going so far. So before I get in, I'm going to show you guys, we're going to go into an article that talks, it's just very kind of a brief article. It talks about like, how's the FedNow doing? And then I want to show everybody the FedNow website. I want to show the instant payments website just to give everybody a little, an idea as to like what this looks like and what it's all about. So if I could take a step back though, so why did the FedNow instant payment service, why did this come about? So part of it has to do with basically, if you think of like Venmo with PayPal and then the Zelle payment network. So what happened was Venmo obviously comes out by, and turns into a huge, service. People love it. They love being able to instantly send, money to each other, real easy, real simple, no problem. And then, Venmo gets bought by PayPal. And of course that, now it becomes a big threat to it's another payment channel that's a threat to banks' payment channels. So how does the banking industry respond? Well, the banking industry creates the Zelle basically network, which is the competitor to Venmo. Now, Zelle is owned by the top, I forget, it's like the top 5 or 6 banks. So basically they have a control over it. So if you are a smaller bank and you want to get onto the Zelle network, you've got to pay, you got to pay the services on the Zelle platform. But because this Zelle is controlled by the bigger banks, this has become a big problem for smaller banks because they charge smaller banks a lot of money to be on this network. And a lot of smaller banks have basically said, we're not paying the fees or whatever. The bigger banks are just price gouging us, and this is ridiculous. So then we got wind that basically the bigger banks were getting ready to create their own platform for instant payment services. And a lot of the community banks around the country basically said, whoa, hold on. We cannot have another Zelle situation where we've got the 5 or 6 biggest banks basically own this thing and they control it and they have a monopoly and they basically can just price gouge us. So at that point, they went back to the Federal Reserve and said, hey, Federal Reserve, love you guys. We would love if you would step up and basically build this new instant payment platform, and then every bank in the country can use it. And then we just pay the FedNow for the services. And basically it's kind of a fair and, equitable situation for everybody. Like everybody gets the same price. Everybody's in there. Everybody can use it. There's no shenanigans. Nobody's playing any games. That kind of thing. So that was part of this. And then as the FedNow came on, it got kind of interesting. I started seeing a lot of things online about this, kind of like a lot of what I would call kind of like conspiracy theory kind of stuff. Like, oh yeah, the FedNow, this is all part of the, one world digital currency and the central bank digital currency coming in and doing this or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the tough part about that is there a kernel of truth to that, to what they're saying? Like, yes, there is. In other words, this system, I believe, is built on a blockchain system. So in other words, if you wanted to convert this to, say, a crypto type currency or a central bank digital currency, I don't know that it would be very hard to do that. However, I will say that that's not at least up front, that's not the intended purpose here. The intended purpose is to hopefully provide a better payment system, better payment channels for both businesses and consumers. Part of the issue here up front with the FedNow service is that, at least on the consumer side, there's no interface. Like there's no app. Like we can't go in and like download, like I personally can't go download an app like the Venmo app or the Zelle app. I can't download that and then just start sending money to people like that. That doesn't exist yet. So that's part of the limitations. And it's kind of like the same thing for banks. On the back end for banks, the interfaces are still being designed and implemented, and that's what's kind of slowed down some of this. But anyway, with that little bit of background here, let's kind of get in to this first article here. The FedNow service is turning 1. So what comes next? So with the FedNow service approaching the anniversary of its July 2023 launch, it's appropriate to reflect on how far we've come and what comes next with respect to instant payments and the FedNow service specifically. And then it goes into this is a blog on the ICBA. So let's skip ahead here. These efforts have been proven to be time well spent, as hundreds of community banks have since gone live with instant payments, both on FedNow and the clearinghouse's RTP network. As of the beginning of June, there are approximately 800 financial institutions participating in the FedNow service, which is very impressive adoption in under a year. Though overall volume and the number of sending institutions is still maturing, when taking an aggregate with RTP volume growth, instant payments are accelerating at a rapid clip. So while community banks are clearly moving into instant payments to ensure competitiveness in the marketplace, there are still thousands more community banks yet to participate. And those that are participating are still largely in a receive-only mode. Suffice it to say, this is only the beginning. So again, like I said, you've got a few hundred banks that are participating in this, but they are still in a receive-only mode because, like I said, part of the interface here is still being developed. It's still getting built out. So it's not there yet. And I think with any new technology, right, I think you've got a lot of community banks out there that are still in this kind of wait and see mode. They're like, well, let's wait and see what happened. I still think that there's huge issues right now with fraud and cybersecurity. And I think one of the most pressing things here that is not made clear with this system is that, like, okay, if the payments become instantaneous, what does that do from a fraud perspective? Somebody gets you to transfer money and it's instantaneous and the money's swept and it's gone. Can you still pull it back, or is that it? It's just done. It's like, so there's a lot of question there as to, like, okay, well, what's going to happen with some of these things? So, and then it goes on to say, at our most recent ICBA Live convention in March, this individual moderated a learning lab entitled An Exploration and Powering Community Banks on Instant Payments, where I was joined by Pidgin CEO and founder and community bank executive David Long from Bryant Bank. Abhishek and David were exceptional panelists and shared a wealth of information with attendees and a few notable themes, including the need for community banks to have a payments strategy. Instant payments are here to stay and participation is key. And it is not enough just to participate. You need to understand your customer's journey, challenges, and needs to best determine how payments can help solve pain points across all payment rails. To that end, we invite you to join in exploring what comes next. Wherever you are in your payments journey, we are working with Pidgin in a best-in-class instant payments platform provider to determine how community banks can be more successful with their FedNow and RTP rollouts. And we are committed to sharing our findings with the broader ICBA payments client base. It's not just about payment speed and instant payments. Reducing risk, improving the customer experience, and modernizing payment systems are important benefits as well. And we hope you'll join us in bringing these benefits to your customers. So, like I said, interesting update. Not a whole lot of background here in this post. I do believe this was written by a gentleman named Nick Denning. I do believe that Nick has written other blog posts on this, commenting on the background and a little bit of the history that I tried to lay out there at the beginning of the video. But now let's quickly look at some of the websites here. So this is the Federal Reserve, what they call the FRBservices.org. And here you can see you have the FedNow instant payments, join our growing network. This is at rfbservices.org/financial-services/FedNow website. And this gives a whole bunch of things. You have the FedNow home page about the FedNow service, blog articles, FedNow Explorer. I'm going to show you the FedNow Explorer in a minute. FedNow user group, instant payment education, 2024 fees, forms, resources. So let's go to the About the FedNow service page for a second. So the FedNow service is a new instant payments infrastructure developed by the Federal Reserve that allows eligible depository institutions of different sizes across the U.S. to provide instant payment services. Sounds good so far. So far, so good. Through financial institutions' participation in the FedNow service, businesses and individuals can send and receive instant payments in real time, around the clock, every day of the year. Financial institutions and their service providers can use the service to provide innovative instant payment services to customers, and recipients will have full access to funds immediately following, allowing for greater financial flexibility when making time-sensitive payments. And then they have a video here that kind of explains how the FedNow service works from start to finish. The initial release of the FedNow service provides baseline functionality supporting market needs for a range of use cases, including those growing in demand, such as account-to-account transfers and bill pay. For in-depth educational content about the FedNow service, visit the FedNow Explorer. To stay updated on FedNow service features and developments, sign up for the FedNow News. So that's a basic rundown. Now, again, like I said, it doesn't really give you all of the background details as far as like, signing up, all the other, I mean, that's all in here. It's on these different sections of the website. But then let's quickly take a look now. So this is the Explorer. And you can find this at explore.fednow.org/explore-the-city. So explore the city. So here we have, you can see up here in the left-hand corner, it says FedNow Instant Payments. We have Guided Journey, Explore the City, Resources, and About. And then over here on the right-hand side, it has Help and Contact. And then you have List of Buildings. So it takes you kind of through here like Operating Center, Features Gallery, News Center, Instant Payment University, Showcase Theater, Technology Tower, Welcome Plaza, Fraud and Control Center, and then Community, I think it says Community Center there, and then Use Case Arena. So we can go in here. So we can say, let's click on Features and Gallery, get to know, enter the building. And then here it just like comes in here like Welcome Customer Payment Flow, FedNow Payment Flow Video, Services Illustration Video, participation types. So just a whole bunch of great information that they have in here. So this is basically the main FedNow website. Like I said, this is just kind of the explanation, the Explorer website that they have out there. And so I have basically links to this blog article here and the two websites. There's links in the description down below, so you can go in and check those out. But basically, what's happening here with this what's happening with this here at the moment? So the FedNow I think it's off to a good start in its first year. There is some momentum going there, and things continue to build. But I think there's a lot more that needs to happen here before you have mass adoption of the system. I think there needs to be better use cases. I think we need to see I think we need some longer term data to determine like what's going to happen from like cybersecurity standpoint, from fraud standpoint, like how's this all going to play out? How's this going to work? And I think we just need a little bit more time, probably a couple more years to try to see what is really happening there and how this is all really going to play out. But like I said, I think so far so good on the launch. I would like to see articles and information that are just not that are more in the weeds with some of the details and not so much just the rah. Like I feel like a lot of the stuff that we get about the FedNow service right now is just rah. So, hey, you need to be in instant payments. You need to provide a better service for your customer. Rah! Like, it's and that's great. Like everybody wants to do that. Everybody understands that. But what are the devil is always in the details. How does this thing really work? Does it really work well? What's the infrastructure like? What is the cost of using all this stuff? Give us some use cases. What are some banks that are having a lot of success with this? And I'm sure I'm sure some of that information is out there and it's growing and they're putting that out there. But like I said, I'm just one that I have high hopes for the FedNow service system. I'm hoping that this thing really can deliver and really blossoms into something nice over the next 10 years. And you do get to a point where pretty much almost every bank in the country is using this system and providing customers with instant payments and better payment channels and better technology, all the way around. So that's the hope there. But again, I wanted to share this information, wanted to get some information out there on the FedNow. I will definitely have more information about FedNow as this system continues to mature and more news comes out, more use cases. I will say this, if I do find a really good use case, or if I come across a really good article that espouses some of the really good things that a bank is doing with this, I will absolutely share that with everybody, because I will be just as interested to see that as everybody else. So, but anyway, I'll wrap up with this. I hope if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. That always helps the channel. Please make sure to remember we are on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please make sure to leave your comments down below, as I always enjoy getting back to everybody. And I will see you again real soon. Thanks a lot.